Hello, and thank you for joining today's webinar, Network Assessment on the Plant Floor Made Easy. I am Jane Kacharzik with Panduit, and I will be facilitating this webinar. Just a little housekeeping before we begin. This webinar is being recorded. It will be available soon on demand, and registrants will receive an email when it becomes available. All lines will be muted during the webinar. Following the webinar, there will be a question and answer session. Please feel free to submit your questions utilizing the chat box on the GoToWebinar app. We will answer as many questions as possible today in the time provided. Today's presenter, Mike Vermeer, is a manager of industrial software and services at Panduit Corporation. He holds an engineering degree from Purdue University and a master's degree from DePaul University. Mike has spent his tenure at Panduit learning from his customers and delivering new offerings to help them improve their business. He is currently focused on software and services offerings that deliver customers confidence in a reliable industrial Ethernet network foundation. We would like to start first with Holly Lundgren with CSIA. She's going to take a few moments to tell us a little bit more about CSIA.
Thank you, Jane. Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the CSIA Partner Technical Webinar Series. My name is Holly Lundgren. I am CSIA's Education Manager. For those of you who are unfamiliar with CSIA, we are the only trade association focused on advancing the system integration industry. Our vision is to ensure that manufacturing and process industries everywhere have access to low-risk, safe, and successful application of automation technology. To accomplish this, CSIA supports system integrator companies in becoming better businesses. We offer guidance to improve integrator effectiveness with our best practices and benchmarks manual, an open forum to network and learn from other companies, and opportunities to market within the industry. As our members continue to improve their management skills, they can begin to work towards becoming a CSIA certified, an industry standard in SI business excellence. Next slide. CSIA membership offers members access to resources needed to attain its business goals. These benefits include networking opportunities at the annual executive conference, marketing toolkits, educational materials, and the Industrial Automation Exchange, an online buyer's guide and community that connects end-user clients with system integrators and industry suppliers. Next slide, please. Clients in all industries are now seeking integrators with a CSIA certification alongside ISO. They recognize CSIA certified integrators' commitment to industry standards and business acumen. As a result, being certified can shorten the sales cycle. It also means a supplier's technology being well represented and greatly reduces the risk of project failure. CSIA certified system integrators generally run better businesses. Next slide, please. CSI Industrial Automation Exchange is the premier automation guide featuring system integrators and suppliers who provide industrial, manufacturing, and process automation solutions. For integrators and suppliers, it's a place to market their expertise. Clients will find white papers, case studies, capabilities, contact information, and engage in conversation directly with CSIA members. Next slide. For more information on CSIA certification, membership, or the exchange, please contact us at 847-686-2245 or email us at info@staff.controlsys.org. At this time, I'll turn it over to our distinguished presenter from Panduit. Welcome, Mike Vermeer.
Thank you, Holly. So what we want to talk today as a part of the body of this webinar is a challenge that we've heard across the industry on delivering consistent and valuable assessments to your end user clients. Panduit's committed to our system integrator partners and are consistently building a world-class offering around helping you manage the entire life cycle of the industrial Ethernet infrastructure. One part of this is some tools that we're now providing to allow you to expand your ability to perform assessments in the plant floor to give your clients a reliable industrial Ethernet infrastructure. In this webinar, we're going to talk about a couple of new capabilities that we have within the IntraVUE software that provides system integrator benefits to allow you to expand your expertise across the network lifecycle. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll give you some starting points on how to begin to have these engagements with your clients. And then we'll talk about some more specific commercial benefits that we're providing to system integrators, specifically a part of our Panduit ONE partner program. As a part of this, we're now launching version 3.1.2 of our software, which includes a number of major updates. Due to the scope of the webinar, we can't get into all of the details, but there will be other recordings and videos online that will provide a complete scope of the webinar. To summarize, we've made significant enhancements to security, allowing SSL encryption, browser encryption to the software, as well as expanded our capabilities within Linux operating system. We have quite a bit of history with Linux, and now are going to be offering a virtual machine image of IntraVUE, fully functional version of IntraVUE in the Linux environment. We've added capability around monitoring. We'll be talking a little bit more about that, monitoring in a way that gives you visibility to infrastructure issues that you might be having on your customers, your clients' industrial network. And we've added documentation capabilities, not only expanding the breadth and scope and information that you're able to gather from your client's network, but also adding capabilities, for example, around Profinet, so that customers can get better visibility into all the way at the edge of their networks and the bus and ring level networks that make use of the Profinet protocol. And then we also have expanded capabilities in the supervisory area to provide your clients with centralized visibility, or you centralized visibility to all of your client sites and how those sites are performing in the context of the Ethernet network foundation. As I said before, what we're interested in providing is the tools and the capabilities to allow our partners to provide a full lifecycle expertise across the beginning stages of our customer's lifecycle, from assessment, designing a robust network and deploying it according to the design, and ongoing monitoring, so that you are the go-to for your customers when they have challenges and need to invest in their network. One big area of challenge, especially for the industrial Ethernet network, is the ongoing monitoring as well as the assessment, because our customers are starting not with typically a greenfield plant, but they're starting with a brownfield with an existing network in place. And their challenge is, how do they get a hold of what they have, identify what the ideal state is, and migrate to that ideal state? So having a software supplemented assessment helps complete that life cycle. Within our Panduit ONE program, the assessment process includes a strong visual and on-site element of identifying how the network is performed. And we take our partners through that process, help them see what to look for, and document for a complete on-site assessment. But another part of that is the network-enabled assessment, which helps you identify the devices, how those devices are communicating, and what issues might be happening with the device communications themselves, in addition to the infrastructure on the site. One major challenge is simply what documentation exists on the site, and do they need better documentation? Different types of documentation include, for example, simply a high-level architecture of the network from the demilitarized zone down to the distribution and access layers for the switch network. Another type of documentation is the physical plant layout and what devices exist where in the plant. There's not a very good way for customers today to get a good combination of the two, where they're not only able to see the higher level network, but all of the devices, and especially the scale of the devices that are deployed in the plant, in the context that a technician and the operations team in the plant can identify with in terms of where these devices are. And think about what value your customers can provide in having visibility to what is connected, when is it connected, and where there are issues with these device connections. What IntraVUE provides and what we've enhanced is the ability to document the network, the devices in the network, how those devices are communicating, and help the client stay up to date in what these devices are and where they exist. We've added capabilities so they can identify a list of all of these devices. That list, when I get into the supervisory view, will also be available from a centralized repository from our supervisory view, and it's also accessible via download, via the download link at the top of the page. So you can customize just what you want to see, use this as both real-time as well as a download for static documentation of what devices you have in the plant at any given time. And that includes information on the device name, model or revision from Ethernet IP, vendor, model, information that's useful for context on what these devices are and how critical they are in the plant. And then we're also able to position these devices to load up an image of the plant floor and to position the devices based on where they exist in the plant. So especially from a technician and controls engineer standpoint, it's not always relevant what device is connected to what. Sometimes you just want to know, I have a device that's failing, where is it in the plant? So providing a basic visibility to the customers of where the devices are there new devices joining on the network, and providing that visual. We can do that. We can also allow you to associate devices to containers, and then you can export this entire system into a Visio format that maintains both the association of the position of the devices in the plant as well as within the container that they're associated with. So you not only have a real-time view of what changes have happened in the documentation in the plant, but you can also export that into a more controlled Visio and or drawing format. We've also taken another step in documentation with adding Profinet capability. This has, of course, been driven from customers who need to have better visibility into the machines on their network and how those machines are performing. We've added the ability then to position the devices based on how they're connected in a Profinet bus level topology. When that Profinet network is configured in a ring, we'll identify the inactive link in that ring and show that through that gray line connecting the two devices. And this will also extend using LLDP to showing basic redundancy topologies, switch level redundancy topologies as well. So that's documentation, which is a very broad challenge for clients across our industry. But other challenges are simply around we know our network isn't up to speed, it has shortcomings, but what could we do if we could show evidence of these shortcomings? In most cases, teams in the plant are constantly dealing with risks, issues, plugging holes and fixing things based on problems that come up time after time after time. What we want to be able to is to provide data to our customers and help you provide data to your clients that there are specific issues within the system that can be improved, and that with that improvement can help build a stronger foundation. So with IntraVUE, we can identify damaged connections both by identifying simply elevated response time for devices, as well as devices constantly disconnecting and reconnecting, as well as errors logged within switches and within devices, for example, input and CRC errors that point to other potential issues within the application and or especially the infrastructure. We can identify failed devices because we're constantly monitoring the devices in real time and also looking for new devices. So we can identify when these devices disconnect, and if they reconnect, we'll be able to log that as well. So every device has an event log on what happened when it connected, any threshold issues, disconnect events, movement events, etc. and then showing problems related to bandwidth to a particular device and comparing that to response time of that device to be able to start drilling out potential application issues and architecture problems. We don't have a lot of time to talk about monitoring, but I want to just describe one area where IntraVUE can be used on an ongoing basis to help IT and OT work together to monitor the plant. IntraVUE can be used and is generally expected to be used continuously within a plant environment, so that when an end user calls you, you can log in, you can look at the system and help them see what has happened leading up to the time that they saw the issue and they called, and then you can, based on your support, your contract with your customer, provide them the help they need, plan out statements of work on resolving the issues. One other issue that we can provide to end users is simply providing help that IT needs from operations. One thing that we've noticed over the last year and a half is IT has gained more and more responsibility for security across the plant network as well. And this is simply because they have responsibility for technical security across the IT systems. The challenge is they have no visibility typically to what devices are supposed to or not supposed to be connected within the plants. This is something that they can only get from the operations team, who understands the operations, who understands the devices and what they do within the operations, and can validate whether a device is critical and supposed to be there, or might be a rogue device or present a risk. So with IntraVUE, in either a topology view or in a plant layout view, we're going to highlight new devices that have joined the network in a yellow color, identifying them as non-admin verified. When you see that, you can see the device, its IP address, MAC address, name, the full information that we're capturing on the devices. And you can also see an event log on when it joined, when it may have disconnected, or any other potential movement that it's made within the network. If you're looking at it from a plant layout perspective, it will show that device within the view of the layout of the plant, but it will place it outside the network. So when you see non-admin verified devices placed outside the network, you know there's a new device that needs to be positioned on the map and identified where and whether it's supposed to be connected. So this way, we can help IT work with operations to solve a problem that IT has, which is a unique opportunity since typically operations is looking for IT support around updating, improving, and building a reliable network within the plant. So we want IT and operations to be able to work effectively together. So that's a little overview of what IntraVUE can do. As a way to get started, I want to first highlight that there are a number of really different types of monitoring that exist in the plant. The most common comes from IT and is network and switch monitoring. This is going to focus on the switch or server performance and is typically at the higher level of the network architecture. It's going to be also serving configuration purposes and is comfortably used by IT across their demands and their responsibilities. There's another capability and type of monitoring that's been evolving and growing in the market, and that's around deep packet inspection, which is a technology that has evolved from use within firewall technology and is now being implemented to monitor the plant applications to see what data is flowing where and identifying potentially security risks, analyzing the content of the traffic, and seeing where there might be security vulnerabilities, etc. This is a very advanced and relatively new technology within the plant. There are a number of startup companies doing this. It provides a valuable capability, and it requires certain types of switch capabilities to collect that traffic and to do the deep packet inspection within it. So you'll be seeing more and more of this type of technology What we're referring to today is more around device monitoring, providing the team on the operations floor with discovery, monitoring, and documentation of the devices within the plant in a way that you don't need to be able to pull all of the data. You don't need a specific type of switch, but we're simply being able to pull the devices independent of what the topology of the network is. We're pulling the information from the system and helping our clients identify where their potential issues are. So there are different types of monitoring. Depending on the need of the customer, there are different things that may apply to your situation. The target of IntraVUE is especially around that device monitoring. When you start conversations with your customers, it's really important to understand where their challenges are and understand a little bit about them, their network, and what their needs are around the network. There are a couple questions that you can ask that can get you a much deeper understanding of where they are. First of all, asking for their high-level network architecture. Typically, their IT or manufacturing IT team can draw this on a whiteboard or on a napkin, but having visibility to how they're structuring VLANs, how they're structuring their demilitarized zone if they have one, understanding where they might have isolated networks, or if they're even aware of isolated networks and some areas deeper within the plant. In addition, understanding, especially if they have multiple VLANs, the layer 3 gateway address. Having that gateway address gives us visibility to monitor multiple VLANs or devices across multiple VLANs within the plant. That's a recommended implementation of IntraVUE. Also, simply understanding what IP addresses are used within the plant. This is probably the most basic and typically is available whether you're talking to IT or controls, but identifying all the IP addresses, not only for the switches and the servers, but especially for the devices, the ranges for the devices across the plant. And then the community strings to access SNMP information from both devices, again, as well as the switches across the plant. So a few basic pieces of information, getting comfortable with asking these questions and gathering this information from your customers is really helpful, because this helps identify also who has IT and who has OT responsibilities and how IT and operations work together. Because the most successful efforts to provide this type of capability for your customers is when IT and operations understand their relative needs and skill sets and responsibilities and work effectively together. So if you can help identify and bridge across that gap, a great way to start that is simply to asking these types of questions. Once you understand some of this, it's also very important to understand, or maybe even up front, understand the problem that you can help to solve. So some customers have problems almost exclusively around documentation, and realize the need to maintain documentation and realize the cost to keep it up to date, to on a monthly basis come in and go through and make changes to everything. Documentation can be extremely costly. And in the enterprise and data center world, it's simply a given, and it's invested in the manufacturing space. We have to help to show them the need for documentation, but we can also give them tools to make it simpler. And understanding what the pain is around their documentation can help move forward in that way. Also, identifying issues. So when we recently had a customer into our innovation center, we asked how often they had issues within a network that they had not been monitoring, with devices not connecting and performing, and they said it's almost a weekly or very regular basis that they have these issues. So the importance of monitoring what's going on in the network, so when things go wrong, you can resolve immediately, as opposed to trying to find the issues and starting to monitor after the problem happens. And this, of course, gets to the cost of downtime. Understanding the cost of downtime for this particular customer can help establish the value of software and services to provide them the monitoring that they need on an ongoing basis, or providing them a support structure around monitoring for them. So it's very important to understand the problems that they can help to solve. One basic case study that we've experienced in the past is a particular plant that had constant headaches within the plant of just maintaining uptime. The operations team wanted to move towards proactive support, but they couldn't with all of the constant headaches that they had to resolve and going back to resolving particular issues throughout the massive facility. And they felt like the automation team felt like they had no way to scale. They couldn't enable the floor technicians. When they purchased and began using IntraVUE, they loaded it up and found they were trying to troubleshoot a problem that they thought was on a server when the software showed them that it was actually some switches that were having issues, whether managed or unmanaged, that was creating the problem when they thought the problem was with the I/O server. So fixing or replacing the switches actually solved the challenge in that particular place. And then they had a platform that they could use to start training and enabling the technicians to be the first responder and identify maybe it's just simply a device failed and it can be replaced. Giving them visibility to the network without expecting them to have expertise on networks has been really valuable for our clients. Now I want to get into some commercial benefits for system integrators. IntraVUE has been built for the plant and the industrial environment, and we've been doing a lot of work to expand how we're able to deliver it with and through our Panduit ONE partners. One way is by helping you as system integrators perform assessments using IntraVUE. So within our Panduit ONE partner program, we actually have a limited assessment capability where you can take an IntraVUE license, you can request an IntraVUE license, install it at the customer, and perform an assessment around what you're understanding IntraVUE to deliver, as well as the other physical-based assessment of what you see in terms of the standards usage and standards application of the network in the plant floor. So we'll perform that. There's a limit 5 for Panduit ONE partners, and then there's a broader assessment tool and partner that can be used for system integrators, where you can purchase a basic limited term license that you can add to, again, that same type of scope of an assessment. So starting point is enabling the use of IntraVUE as an assessment. In addition, Panduit provides, through our Panduit ONE program, a full service assessment where we can help you. If you're not comfortable with the providing the full service software plus infrastructure assessment, we can take you down that path and help you build up that capability with where you not only do the software-based assessment, but also walk with us to do the physical infrastructure assessment, extending your value proposition with the customer. And as our intent is not just stopping with the report of here's everything that's right and everything that's wrong on your client's network, but here's what we recommend for remediation, getting them to understand the value of building a stronger network foundation. And so that goes into the design and deploy offering, which I referred to earlier. And then at the end of the project, there's also an opportunity for continued monitoring, continued support of the network, where IntraVUE can be sold even through our partners as a tool that you can use to help your customers monitor themselves, and also provide some supervisory capability where you can be the expert that they go to support their plant, support their network, and the devices within their network. So the full IntraVUE subscription, it's been advanced and enhanced to support the needs of the customers as well, and we've substantially expanded it as well for the assessment capability. One big move that we've made just with the last release is designed to help strengthen your relationship with your clients. It's in Panduit's best interest for end users and our end user clients to have a go-to who knows their business, who knows their automation system, who knows their application, that they can go to when they have challenges within the devices and the systems on their network, or that they can go to for help with documentation. And so what we're providing with version 3.1.2 is the capability for you to add your logo prominently within the user interface of IntraVUE, so that the first thing the client sees when they look at the devices within their automation system, they're seeing our partner system integrators logo, their brand, and then their first response is going to be calling you for support, calling you for the next project. It's a capability that we felt very strongly about adding based on where we want our customers to go for their challenges. So this will be capable. This will be a capability within 3.1.2, which will be released is just going through final beta and will be available for download shortly. There's also training available for our system integrator partners. Through Panduit ONE, there is both online web-based training beyond our YouTube channel and our full documentation system within the software. A lot of documentation, a lot of training that we can provide. I also want to call out for interest on live interactive online training that goes a little bit deeper even than our Panduit ONE partner program, to cover installation, registration, scan configuration, a lot of the things that you do at the front end of the IntraVUE deployment. It's built to be very simple, so it doesn't need to be extremely complex, but I want to call for what interest there might be, and so we have a survey coming up just next on what interest you might have in interactive, in-depth training on configuration and use of IntraVUE within your client site. So now a survey will pop up, and you can simply register yes or no. And if you don't have a chance to answer, there's also going to be an opportunity. You can send an email, or we're just calling for interest on that training. Apparently, we're having some technical difficulties on the survey. So
yeah, I apologize. If you want to go ahead, Mike, with it, it's not.
No, that's fine. Sure. We will find another way in a follow-up email to ask the question. But simply, we're interested in, would you or someone within your company value that interactive training and configuration? Not necessarily coming on site, although that might be, but we're looking to pilot that type of training. Finally, again. Oh, you want to do it?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. No problem. There we go.
A little system error here. It's up now. If you want to take a few moments to take that poll. Apologize for the delay on that. Okay, just a few more moments. It looks like everyone is taking the poll.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and close it down.
Very good. So finally, Panduit is committed to our system integrator partners. We have a full breadth of capability around helping you to design, develop, and deploy physical infrastructure, not only for industrial networking applications, but our data center and enterprise networking businesses also have capabilities around doing similar. We're now expanding it substantially to include the assessment capability using IntraVUE to help you upfront where our customers begin. But realize that this comes out of a commitment that Panduit has to our partners to elevate their business and help them expand their capability to solve infrastructure challenges within their clients. So with that, that's the end of the webinar. I hope you found value in it, and I thank you for your attendance and interest.
Okay, thanks so much, Mike. We're going to take a few moments now for questions. If you have any questions, please put them in the questions section of the GoToWebinar app. Give it just a moment or two. It looks like I did have a couple questions come in. The first one is IntraVUE data accessible to third-party tools?
That's a great question. So the IntraVUE is run on a server on the customer site, and it's constantly gathering data in real time at that client site. That data is accessible entirely through our front end, our user interface, which we've built on the latest Angular platform, and we're constantly adding more features and capability to make that interface useful. However, there are also opportunities, and we're going to be looking at our next phases of development to provide that data also into third-party platforms through capabilities such as perhaps including OPC, OPC-UA, tools like that. But if there are opportunities with a client where they need to get this information into a particular platform, reach out to us, because there are other things specifically that we can do. We can do co-creation type projects with you and your customers and support specific development through APIs, et cetera.
Okay. We did have a question. It looks like we had a couple attendees join the call late and asking whether it is recorded. It is recorded, and you will receive an email. Once the recording is available, you'll receive an email with the recording attached. We also had a question come in, Mike, that says, what is the annual cost for the entire ensemble?
Yeah, so IntraVUE is built to be a very simple platform. You can build more out on top of it in terms of services and support contracts. But for the software itself, the customer has an option to scale it up based on the size of their network. So for a small implementation, maybe you only have a single subnet or not a huge amount of devices, you can make use of the software for a minimal several $1,000s, but that scales up to clients that might have multiple production lines or a full vehicle manufacturing facility, for example, that could have hundreds of thousands of devices, which would be a order of magnitude different, for example. So it scales pretty much, but several $1,000s is not an unheard of starting point.
Okay. We had another question come in. Are there demonstration versions available?
Yeah, so actually our demonstration capabilities are quite simple. So you can go to our website and download the software, and we actually have simulated versions of networks within that standard download that you can play around with and get experience with the software and its capability before you even purchase and try out the software. Our partners with our system integrator and distributor partners with lab networks are also have ability to request a system that can scan their specific lab network as well.
Perfect. Looks like one more question came in. What documentation exists for the software?
So there's a lot of information on the Panduit.com website, and I can even give you a hint. Panduit.com/IntraVUE help will give you a link to our complete set of documentation, help documentation on IntraVUE and its capabilities, starting guides, etc. But when you download the software, there's a help link that's embedded within the software and includes hundreds of pages of capability organized by topic and organized by process.
Okay, great. We don't have any other questions at this time. I'll give it a few more moments. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it in that questions part of the GoToWebinar app. I do not see any movement here, so we are going to go ahead and conclude the webinar. I thank you for your time today, and you have a great day.